Okay, we're going to call our meeting to order at 6:18. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of March 25th, 2021 be approved as presented, and further be it resolved that the agenda for April 8th, 2021 be adopted as circulated. Is there a mover?
I'll move.
Keegan? Ted, second. And is there any errors or omissions on the minutes?
Didn't see.
Okay, any additions to the agenda?
Nope.
All in favor, please indicate your favor.
Aye.
Aye.
That is carried. And we'll move to the committee reports. And Greg, if we could start with you.
Okay. Kind of slow, actually, in meetings, or at least the meetings I had. Kind of March 15th was Eastman Regional Municipal Committee. I guess the news on that, or it's got everybody going, is they are closing or have closed that trail at Great Falls across the power dam there. That it's got a lot of people a little upset. And the other thing we talked a little bit about was the standardization of bylaws, and Lauren is supposed to advise us next meeting. He's supposed to get back to us on that there. He's working on that with justice and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if we'll get anything else. Everything else is all on hold there. All the small reactor stuff and all that with hydro and everything is still stuck, and PCH is still stuck. Nothing's happening there. At least not that I know of anyway. The arena still making meals for seniors, or for anybody for that matter there and that's going over very, very well. It's giving the arena a nice look in the community. And I guess we got to get to work and make sure we get our plans done, all the things we need to do for the arena this summer. So we get all that construction done, all those repairs done that we're going to do before, well in advance of having a hockey season, because I think if we get lucky enough to get enough vaccines on the go here, we will probably have a hockey season this year, this season coming up. April 7th, I attended the EMO training. Nothing much has changed there other than a couple of people asked to have some clarification. There are the zone 2 and zone 3 cut right through the Winnipeg River here, because the dividing line. And so we have our town here. So we actually got 3 things in play here that kind of make it a little awkward for information purposes, because one zone has got one set of rules and the other zone's got a different set of rules. And then I think town here, we just go along with this side of the river, whatever it may be, just to keep everybody honest. And we have our own bylaw too. It spells out a bunch of things. So, but I don't think when push comes to shove that these burning bans actually apply to the town, to the towns. It does to the municipalities, but not to the towns. But for clarification purposes, I think we should try and stick together. Keep it all the same as best we can. And that's about it for me. I guess the rec, Winnipeg River Rec, drop by every once in a while and see Kristen there, and she's working away there, doing a really good job, I think. And she's got some plans already. It looks like she's got lifeguards on the go. Isn't that correct, Darcy? You probably know about that too, eh?
Yeah, she's got the postings all up, and there's 1 or 2 that are coming back from last year. And right now we're just waiting to see what she's able to get.
Yeah, okay. That's good. That's all I've got.
Okay. Brian, please.
I don't have any meetings to report.
Okay. Keegan?
None since the last meeting. I was in there, packed into the back end of it.
You're muted, Keegan.
Oh, sorry.
Well,
You're muted.
I was just saying that I haven't had any since the last meeting. They're all packed into the back of the month, so I'll tell you all about them the next
Okay.
one.
All right, and Ted?
I got nothing.
Okay.
So other than what we called that special meeting, I guess, but
Yeah.
hmm,
Keegan, just so you know, your screen is showing up as muted. There you go. Yeah.
I just have it set so that I don't hear anything unless I'm holding down the space bar. Otherwise, we get a bit of feedback between me and
Oh, okay.
Ted being in the same room here.
Yeah. Okay.
mhm.
For myself, I met with Art Roy regarding that 82 Park Avenue on March the
Close the
19th.
door.
Sorry, March 12th.
Ted, leave us?
I went to close the door.
Oh. So I met with Art Roy and we talked about, well, I think I shared with you because we were dealing with it separately last time, but just the process and the agreement, and they've agreed to do as we had discussed. And we've got a resolution on the agenda a little later on to deal with that. March 25th, of course, was special council meeting. You're all there. And then on the 31st, I had a meeting with Dr. David Mator, the new CEO for Regional Health Authority. And he had reached out and was connecting with each of the communities. So it was good just to have a chat with him and try and get an understanding of where he's coming from and what his thoughts are. And one of the things that I had the opportunity, obviously, to raise the whole PCH thing with him at length. And he is still getting up to speed on what's going on, but is certainly committed to jump in and be supportive of that. So I think that was a good step there. And then the other thing that I was kind of delighted with actually is he was very committed to connecting on a regular basis with councils and getting input and feedback from councils on various issues. And I don't know that we've kind of had that secondhand through that one committee that Ted sits on that meets in Beausejour, but not directly from council. And I just felt very positive about that initial meeting with him if he follows through with what he has indicated in that setting. So looking forward to that. So that's all I've got. Darcy, please.
I don't have any to report because in the transfer of data from my old computer to the new one, I've lost all the meeting stuff from the calendars, so I have to get it reloaded.
Okay. So it's all on your shoulders, Brent.
Wow. Well, I have to say I'm not quite as prepared as I normally could be or should be. I started taking that municipal management course, so I was on course all day yesterday and all day today, and again all day tomorrow apparently. So, but I got a couple of notes here, anyways. The water treatment plant intake line. I don't know how aware everybody is. I know Gordon seems to be. It seems like there's a leak at Lake Avenue. I know I just swapped some emails a little bit with Jeff today. I didn't have time to go chat with him. I mean, it seems like that should be the leak from the intake line and coming up right on the road right by your place there.
Yeah.
So he's already had a conversation with Penner Underground, I guess, about coming out, and it sounds like there was a repair in that location at one point in time. So, and we also have WSP coming out on Tuesday they sent the proposal for doing the line, and then they've got a guy, one of their engineers, coming out to have a look at, I guess, the tie-in at the pump house as well as the tie-in at the treatment plant. So he's going to come out and meet Jeff and I at the plant on Tuesday morning. I believe it's Tuesday. I got to verify for sure. So. I had also asked WSP a couple weeks ago about preparing a proposal for a drainage study for town, just to kind of go over. I mean, the ditching in town in general. I mean, ditching is one of those things that tends to get just ignored for 30 or 40 years, and ditching is kind of poor at best in a lot of locations. So they're going to be getting a proposal together to do a study on the entire town ditching network and come up with a bit of a, depending on costs, I guess, depending on a bit of a network on improving drainage. Maybe I'm thinking a little bit every year, hopefully, depending on price. So. The town dock, we finally received the DFO and the NAV Waters permit on pretty much the same day. DFO, one of their restrictions was no in-water activity from the 1st of April to, was it the end of June or something, something to that effect, end of May, I believe. So, I mean, that's regardless of the extra price that we had talked about last week. I mean, that pretty much puts us on hold until December. So it gives us a little bit of time to, deal with lighting and any of the extra stuff that we had talked about, and we can plan that out and price that out well as well. So, but all the, I believe I think there was a progress estimate sent in, and I think it's on the agenda for tonight.
Yeah.
All the sheet piling is now delivered. The engineer came out on Monday and I guess verified sizes and number of sheets and everything else, and confirmed that everything's on site. So. The security cameras, I talked to the contractor the day after our last meeting, and he was going to be checking on parts and cameras and availability, and I haven't heard back from him, so I'll rattle his chain again tomorrow, probably tomorrow or Monday, if nothing else. Our fire inspection at the shop, I think the only thing that was still outstanding was just paperwork on my end, and a fire safety plan and spill kit plan, and I finished all that stuff up the other day and sent it off to Trevor. So I'm hoping he will. I haven't heard back from him, so he was going to review it, I think. So I think that's pretty much all I got. I don't know if anybody else has any questions, comments.
I've got a question just regarding Jen. Where is she
Okay.
at now in her process and getting her year in? That'll be coming up to the year pretty soon, I guess.
I'm not I think we would have started, because we put it on hold for a little bit there. So, but I think we started sometime in the summer, and I think when we started, it was only a couple of, like, probably 2 days. So the full time, or what I think they would consider full-time hours, probably wasn't until later in winter or fall. So, but she's pretty well on track. Like, she's been going there 3-4 days a week at least for the last several months. So hours wise, I'm not 100% where she's at right now.
Okay. And I guess.
Brett,
Yep.
you were mentioning about the drainage.
Yeah.
Is there nothing in the shop about doing all the drainage on Minnewawa and MacArthur a few years back? Because there was quite a lot done.
Yeah, I haven't, if Jeff has any plans, he must have them at the treatment plant, because I haven't got anything at the shop. But I think, like, drainage and I mean, the main drains seem to be like the one at Minnewawa or down MacArthur and further down there going across lakes seem to be decent. Like, I think you can tell they have been done, but the rest of like the whole ditch network on a lot of the residential streets is kind of spotty and poor, and that's where I'd like to kind of look at potentially upgrading some of that a little bit at a time.
Yeah. Well, and I think on that subject, Brent, we had asked Jeff several years ago to kind of work on a plan and figure out what we needed to do, because
Okay.
we've got some areas that are, what is it? The southeast side of the personal care home is one area. I know the folks there have
Mhm.
talked with me about that low land.
Yeah, on Macintosh there.
Yes, they're
Yeah.
kind of on
Yeah,
Macintosh.
Macintosh and Allard,
Allard,
that
yeah.
little, yeah.
And then, we've obviously need to think in terms of behind the arena for making sure we get our drainage right there as well.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of smaller areas here and there and on some of the residential streets that, I mean, upgrading ditching is one of those things that half the residents will probably be angry as heck if you start digging out their sod in the front, and the other half that have water sitting there all the time will be happy with it. So, you know,
Well, I wonder if we can focus on that. Just give me a second here. Darcy's trying to get in again. If we can. Lost my thought, sorry. I know what I was going to say. If we could focus on that program that we had several years ago, that is still active, I believe, of putting in the culverts and filling in the ditches.
yeah, I mean, I have to say, from an engineering standpoint, I'm not a big fan of that. Because I mean, unless you do it properly with proper intakes, like putting those little 6-inch or 8-inch holes on the top doesn't really allow a whole lot of good drainage, and I think we'd be better off, getting the ditching done properly, and then if we want to fill stuff in, then at least it's to proper grade, and we've got a bit of a design and know how and where everything should be running properly. But
well, I think the culverts that were put in were probably 20-inch culverts or something like that.
yeah,
But I know on a couple of places, Lake and Minnewawa, for example, the entrance to the system there is about,
yeah, I
6
know.
inches in diameter on a good day.
I've seen a few spots around intakes around 4th Avenue and other places that, yeah, there's some really undersized drains.
Yeah.
So.
And this is just to give you a thinking point, Brent, with us acquiring that lot, I'm wondering if that drain that that the owner is moving next door to that on that next
At 90 Park there.
Yes, at 90,
Yeah.
whether, and I don't know exactly how that feeds into there, but would there be any advantage to us just moving that inside our lot as opposed to it being under his lot?
Yeah, I think it starts from the corner at 4th there. So
Which is
it's probably a lot more direct route to go through his lot than to go over to the other one. So
yeah, I just thought if it is easier to do, then we might as well do it on our property.
yeah,
But if it's a lot of headache, then we probably just need to leave it alone.
I mean, it's we can absolutely have a look at that for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else got questions?
There's
Right.
something I would like to say. Driving by the school, the elementary school, there's quite a bit of water laying in some areas that are low depressed. And I was thinking down
talking-
east on my fields.
In the
I have a
schoolyard,
lot.
in the schoolyard or field?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, the field's in front.
Okay.
And would it be worth it? Because I had a lot of problems with my land down east, and other guys, they tiled their land and the water was gone. there, we've got that drainage ditch 20 feet away, and would it be worth it to put a piece of weeping tile in the ground and just,
It would probably be cheaper and less maintenance just to do some ditching, swaling, and just some grading to run it there rather than putting weeping tile or something. You know, maintenance wise would be a lot easier just to kind of swale it to that direction.
We do have to come under the
Yeah.
sidewalk probably though, eh?
Yeah,
Go the other way, because
possibly.
I know the areas you're talking about there, it kind of gets a little swampy in the summertime during June when we get lots of rain. So,
yeah. Well, I was thinking more of the drainage ditch right in front of the school.
yeah, there's that big one there.
because- Yeah,
Yeah. That runs, yeah, it runs right alongside the hydro building between the hydro. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking
yeah.
about.
Yeah. Because there's always a lot of water after a rain and whatnot. So
Yeah,
it's something to look at and think about. And
sure.
If it was any wetter there, there'd be growing cattails in that section.
yeah,
It's good. It marshland cleans the air and the water. It's good for the environment, Brian.
Greg, you had a question earlier?
Greg, you're muted. You're muted, Greg. Can't hear anything.
There, how's that?
That's better.
Yeah, okay, this culvert, swaling business there's people, over time when nobody's looking, they have a tendency to fill the ditch in front of their place in with some dirt. They make it a little easier for them to mow and all that kind of stuff. So, that's been an ongoing battle.
Oh yeah.
Like a good example is in front of my place. That water, when they first paved that and redid that street, Oak Street there, that water used to run there. Everything was fine. And then people started just little bit by little bit, they started to put earth into the ditch and you know, instead of leaving it alone and you know, and if we're going to spend a whole bunch of money and fix this all up, that's all got to come to a stop. You know,
Yeah, I mean, ditches
there's
tend to fill in over time anyways, but yeah, for sure. I mean, it's, yeah.
And the other thing is too, is we got lots of culverts too, and we've been cleaning snow out. So if any culverts are put in any way, shape or fashion, I'd suggested to make sure they're big enough so that their entrance is the entrance to a culvert is a very important determination how much water that culvert can flow.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a lot of them are bent over on the end from excavators digging snow out of the ditch in the spring and all that kind of stuff. We kind of need to take a big picture look at this, I think.
Good. Well, Brent's going to lead us in that, so we'll wait for his report. Anything else? Okay, let's move on then. We've got kids sports. Whereas the Sport Manitoba is requesting financial support for this year's kids sport program to help make sports available to all children, therefore be it resolved that council does hereby approve a donation in the amount of $300. Is there a mover for that?
I'll move.
Keegan, seconder?
I'll second.
All right, thank you. Any discussion? I know a question that I was asking is, in light of what's going on with COVID, I'm just curious what happened last year. Fully supportive of kids sport, but just I'm curious whether it was actually utilized or not properly last year. Darcy, do you have any answers to that?
We don't have any information other than what you see on the agenda, Gordon.
Okay, all right. So any comment? Question? Greg? Put your mic on, Greg.
That I just wanted to mention that that $300 that has been kicking around as a donation right from when we first started the Polar Bear Dare. The town donated $300 for the T-shirts that for their volunteers and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of stuck ever since, even though the polar bear dare isn't on right now, it goes to that. And I know through the years, I can't speak for last year because I don't have the information on it, but all through the years, kids in Lac du Bonnet have got funding from kids sport, little bits here and there.
Yeah, no, I'm certainly aware of that. I was just concerned with not knowing what happened last year with COVID and what they were actually doing when so many things are shut down. That's all. That was my only question. Yeah. Alrighty. Greg, your picture is missing, by the way, just since you moved around there. All in favor then, please indicate your favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that is carried. CFWR volunteer, they've given us a volunteer nomination form for volunteer of the year. And is there anyone that has suggestions for who might serve that role?
Mhm.
I don't really know.
It's a tough one, given the past year with the pandemic, and there's been so many people out in the community that have really stepped up over and above and beyond what they normally do in their volunteer roles with the different groups that.
I'd suggest maybe Tracy
That's a
Nern.
hard one to call.
That would-
For
Keegan just mentioned Tracy Nuremberg.
I mean, with their work at the arena, they've had a hard time. They've been adapting to a lot and keeping things going.
the
And then, you know, the
year.
food program and stuff, she's like a pretty strong character in that too right now. So I don't know. I think that would be a good one to go for.
I concur with that, Keegan. I was going to mention her myself. I think that would be a excellent choice. She's deserving of that notoriety for some time now, actually.
That's Tracy Nuremberg you're talking about, Greg.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, good.
Yeah.
Okay,
At the arena.
yeah. Any other suggestions? I think she's a good suggestion, but just if there's any other ideas. Okay. I think Darcy's trying to say something, but we're not hearing you well, Darcy.
I got nothing. I think Tracy's a great choice.
Okay, okay. All right. All in favor then that we suggest Tracy's name and Darcy,
Aye.
Hey.
that is carried. And if you can get that in, Darcy, we'd appreciate it.
No problem.
There's a letter to the mayors and Reeves that was included in your package. It's more for information. It talks about the municipal operating fund, the strategic infrastructure funding, building sustainable communities, COVID-19 enforcement support, and helping municipalities ensure value for money. So you've had a chance to look at it. It's there for your information. Anybody got any comment on that or any suggestions out of that? Okay, we will move on. Draft budget. Darcy, this is your ball.
Yeah. Sorry.
I said that this is draft budget. This is your ball court.
Okay. So I sent the draft budget to council a couple weeks ago. And all of the notations and working papers that I utilized to put this together, I had included comments in a lot of the boxes and a lot of the columns so that you could see exactly what made up some of the totals and some of the different lines that I had been playing with. Actually, this year went really smoothly, but I know we're going to have some changes to make. I know that we are holding off on doing the town dock this year because it took a while to get the permits in from Oceans and Fisheries and NavCan. And of course, with the timeline, it ended up being a couple weeks later than what we had hoped would turn out to be. So with that in mind, I know that on the capital page towards the back of the budget, which is on page
13.
13. I know that we'll be taking off the dock as well.
Yeah, we've lost you there, Darcy. We do need to keep in enough for the dock to pay that invoice from the contractor.
Yeah, and there was they're just, I think, finalizing a bit of a cost projection for the year too, because there'll be a little bit more cost for some design engineering work too. I think their total for the year was probably in around 450 grand.
Okay.
Another 100 on top of the 350.
Amount of plans.
I didn't. I think it was. I'm not sure what we've paid so far. I think, have we paid some of the design work or something?
We've made
Well-
some engineering work.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
their projection. They just sent it the other day, so I was going to send it to Darcy. There's their projection with the remainder of what, like the bulk of it was the sheet piling, and then there was a
Right.
little bit more engineering work. It was around 440 total for the year, I think. So
Okay, the one that we got a copy of just was the 300 and some just for the
Yeah.
sheet, I think, yeah.
yeah, and I think they're projecting more engineering work throughout the season. So
Yeah. Sorry, Darcy, we're cutting you off.
That I do all be saying, yeah.
We're having a hard time hearing you, Darcy.
Okay, for whatever reason, this is not working well,
Is
that's
anybody
interesting.
and
understanding?
I don't know why.
Oh, there you are.
So, can you hear me now? Can you
Yeah,
hear,
okay.
Yeah.
can you hear me? Yeah.
Oh, you're gone again. Are you too far away from your microphone, Darcy, maybe? I don't know, just guessing.
Okay, so all the revenues have been put in. I'll release before you grab. I don't think I am. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But we really haven't heard anything up until now from you, okay?
So do you want me to start this again?
I think you should, because we really haven't heard anything.
Okay. So I had sent this electronically to council a couple weeks ago. For the time, this actually went pretty smoothly in doing a balanced budget, although there's some pretty big dollars, pretty big projects listed in here. I know that on page 13 for the capital, that I'm gonna have to adjust out the amount for the dock and allocate an amount just for the progress payments that are due for this year, which we know is right now is about 350,000, and Brent just mentioned about another 100,000 there, about 450 in total.
Yep.
So I'll make the adjustment for that going in. That's the only change so far that I know of right off the hop. Now, all of the revenues that have basically been earmarked that are normally coming in have all been listed on page 2, which also includes the amount of the 12,005 for the RM's portion of for the lifeguards, as well as $38,029.20, which is their portion for the arena for 2021. Was part and parcel of the agreement. Aside from that, there hasn't been a whole lot of adjustments that have gone through. Managed to keep pretty much all the costs down as far as we possibly could. There's been nothing that's been really odd or weird. The one bit of change, though, that gets down to public works is in regard to the Benton operator. We had a good amount for the cost of $115,000 from last year. We basically put in for another $80,000, and that was part and parcel with Jeff taking on a new role, with it being higher cost, inclusive of all the overtime and basically working 7 days a week, plus creating an operator and training role, which was also higher cost as well. And of course, some overtime that had gone in for that. Other than that, there was really nothing oddball in regards to our regular categories. With regards to general government services, protection services, you'll actually find that for example, the fire department cost is actually down in regards to the operations. And also the costs are going to be down this year for their ask for the capital as well. Everybody that had submitted a community request, the asks were pretty much the same as they had been as last year. Many of them put in for a small cost of living increase of 2.2% or 2.5%. I did in fact communicate to all the groups that had put that request in that part of the request was not going to be granted, largely because CPI for 2020 was only 0.50%, and that would be the maximum amount that would be allocated in regards to a cost of living increase. I didn't have any pushback from those groups that had done that. They said they just normally throw it in just for the sake of throwing it in. And they completely understood, because the markets had basically tanked last year and everybody's budgets were kind of, south of the border type of thing. So everybody's had their struggles. Majority have been really, really good. The one difference this year is with regards to the ask that came in from the youth center. I know that they've been having a little bit of struggles with trying to figuring out, their budget process and their budgetary asks from the municipalities. This year, the youth center had requested $2,500 from each the town as well as the RM, and of course with their normal lighthouse funding and the other funding that they receive. However, the folks that had put it together for this year really weren't aware as to how much in kind that the town already takes care of on their behalf. So we have had we've had a meeting with them, that is Gordon and I had met with Denny as well as Diane Mead, or is it Diane Mead?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we met with Diane Mead and Denny, and we did explain to them all the different things that the town picks up on their behalf, on the youth center's behalf. And we're basically to the tune of about $42,000 and change. Adding an additional $22,000 puts us at the $60,000 mark. So just for giggles, I had put the request out to the RM, to their CAO, and said, do you think you guys could kind of cough up a little bit of extra cash? Because here's what I'm already spending for the youth center. I received a chuckle and was told, no, thank you. We'll just put in our 22.5. So we had made the decision that, given what we already contribute, we really can't contribute any more to one particular group, given what we were already into it. So we've basically put in the youth center as the same amount that we've given for the last 2 years, which is the $10,000 240 for what has gone through. We have, yeah, for beautification, we're getting some more new planters this year.
Darcy,
Yeah.
can I
Yeah.
interrupt you here? It is 7
Yeah.
o'clock and we've got Jay Griffin waiting in the waiting room. So
Okay.
can we pick this up after we're finished with Jay, please?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. I will let him in. He's here to
Who's, I just
talk
had
about the,
something unstable, the internet connection.
yeah. And Darcy, you've had all the discussions with Jay.
Yeah.
So we'll let you carry the ball on that, to make sure that nothing was missed. Okay, letting him in. Jay, I see your name is showing up, but don't see your face here. There
Oh,
we go.
now,
Yeah, we got you now. Good. Welcome, Jay. Glad you could join us tonight and talk about the baseball diamond and the building and so on. And so you and Darcy were kind of the key discussion points on this. So Jay, maybe fill us in with what you want to say, and then we'll carry on from there.
Okay.
Just by the way, you'll see that Darcy's kind of frozen today. She talks once in a while, we can hear her, but her picture isn't moving at all.
okay, I see now. Okay, so I broke this into basically 3 sections of things that need to be dealt with going forward to get this project finished. I broke it into field and landscaping is one structure. The other one is the building structure itself, like the picnic area. And then the financial part, which is the fees and users and bookings and how we're all going to deal with that moving forward, paying bills. I think those are all things we need to touch on today, and we need to figure out how this is all going to flow smoothly. Can everybody hear me good, or should I turn up here? Is it good?
No, you're good.
No, you're good.
I can hear you.
So when we built, I'll start with fields and landscaping stuff we have to finish up there. When we built Diamond 3, along the road from basically the first base side of Diamond 3, now that we built a field there, the water does not want to run anywhere there where the manhole is, Brent. You know, where like kind of where I'm talking about. It wants to sit there and it can't go anywhere. So we need to make a small swale from that manhole cover, basically, not all the way there, but partly there, and go along the road towards the Legion, so it can join in with that ditch that's in behind the Legion in the arena.
Because where did you guys put that weeping tile section in there? Where did that go, or is that just from the field to hoping to drain to the manhole?
Well, no, they told us we can't drain to the manhole, but
no, that's strictly wastewater sewage. So
yeah, but we need to get a ditch done there so that weeping tile can weep into that ditch that can get it to the Legion.
Right. Okay.
So that was that one item we have to deal with, because like it just pools there, right? And it makes the parking lot wet. It makes the field wet. You know, I think this is an item that we probably could approach the RM about too. They've been really good with giving us access to ditch equipment and helping us with drainage. They did a bunch of drainage work before us. I think I could approach Lauren, and I think he would be able to help us with that. I've put out some
Jay?
quotes. Yep.
Any idea what the elevation in order to get the water to move you're looking at there?
I don't know what the elevation is, Ted, but I think it wouldn't be that great. Like it wouldn't be a huge ditch towards the where you're joining up with the other ditch.
Yeah. Well, I can. I've got a level at the shop. I can take a couple of shots there Monday, Tuesday, depending on weather, and we can have a look at that for sure.
Yeah.
See what's
I don't
involved.
think it's going to be a huge ditch. I'd like I'd like that to stay parking, you know, drive through a little bit of a swale and then just kind of park on the grass there one day. I don't think it needs to be huge, but it needs to be at least, you know, a swale so the water can get to where it needs to go. Right? And I think it's more for springtime too. I don't think in a big rain you're going to see much left there. I think it'll just be for more like springtime. I've gotten quotes out there, which I just got back, for fencing that'll run on the wing wall of Diamond 3 right to the foul pole in behind the Legion, because now what's happening with that diamond is that used to be the parking forever, and now people are continue to park there and they continue to drive on the diamond, and we need to keep people off of there. So I got a quote, I think CP fencing or CD fencing was about
CB.
$4,000 to put that length in there to block everybody off. So I have to talk to Darcy about, I guess that'll have to be voted on by council. I just got those emails back a while ago. The Trent, go ahead. Nope. The trench that we put the power in with to the building from the back pole of Diamond 1 is, excuse me a minute, my dog is playing with a toy here. I got rid of the kids, but they wouldn't take the dog. So the trench that we put the power in from the backside of Diamond 1, the trench has fallen in now, and it's settled out through the winter. I've talked to Gary Pott. He's going to come back with Bobcat, and he's going to kind of smooth that out. But he said it's too early for topsoil. Everything's frozen still. So he said maybe he'll come and fix it up a bit and then let it settle a little bit more, and then maybe fix it mid-summer kind of thing with some topsoil and some grass seed and start letting that grow back in, right? Fence. We need to fix that fence that got wrecked this winter, Brent. It's bowed pretty hard. I don't know if you want to tackle that yourself.
I'll have a look at it. I was there the other day, but it was pretty wet, so we were looking at pumping out that manhole. So I'll have a look at it early next week and see what I think it needs.
We also could talk to that guy that's coming to put that fencing in for the wing wall there. He might be able to just straighten it out and fix it, because I don't think the fencing is actually wrecked. It's more the poles and the top bar is bent, right?
Okay. Yeah. It didn't look like it was all that severe. So it looked like it should be a relatively easy fix, I hope.
Yeah, I agree. I just thought I'd mention it to make sure we don't forget about it and we can get it.
How did that get damaged? Okay.
Aaron, when he was cleaning some snow with the Bobcat, I think he's learning on the Bobcat, and I think he's figuring out that a couple of lessons there with snow removal and the damage the snow in front of the Bobcat can do. So.
Yeah, okay.
So one other thing I'm worried about now that the bathrooms are set up at the backside of that of the structure, kids are going to be coming from around the corners using the bathrooms in the back. And we as a committee have kind of decided, we hope you guys will agree with us, that we don't think that driving vehicles in there anymore should be necessary. And we want to build a gate sort of at the back of where Al Simcoe's tree line runs. We'd have a gate there and maybe put some posts or some big boulders so people just can't drive in there, because I'm worried about somebody coming around the corner and a car's coming in there. I don't think it's necessary to have vehicles in the back there unless you're doing work like with Brent with his guys in the town, or, you know, bringing picnic tables in or what have you. But I don't think if you're coming to play baseball, it's necessary for people to be driving right up to the structure anymore. Anybody have thoughts on that?
I really like your idea of having the rocks, like they have that all over the place in the park down by Winnipeg there, just to keep everything looking nice. And I think it's better than just having like a chain link fence shot through there for sure.
Yeah, I think the boulders could look good, and then just if we had an actual gate built so it can open so a tandem or Brent can get his loader or his Bobcat in there, stuff like that. But other than that, I don't think people need to go in past there anymore at all.
Okay.
Hey, Greg, you're still muted.
There, how's that?
There we go.
In regards to the boulders or anything of the sort there, I like them too. They look nice. But if you put a boulder there and it's not marked properly and somebody piles into it, you might have a liability issue. You know, you want your barricades or your stuff to be well marked, that kind of stuff.
So you
Make
thinking
them
like,
big enough, is what you're saying.
What's that?
you
Make
thinking
them
down by
big
the
enough.
Legion, Jay?
No, not that far.
Oh,
Like,
okay. Like
once
close
that
close
new-
to the diamonds, like at the end of the
Yeah.
road kind of thing?
I don't know if you guys remember where the urinals used to sit, or not the
Yeah.
urinals, the porta potties.
Yeah.
Kind of come right across there and block the road from people to come in. And so you'd have a big area in
Okay.
the back of where the bathrooms are, and then
Yeah.
yet you'd have people could park along the side of the road and behind the youth center, and they could park kind of on that one side of the diamond, and then everybody else parks behind the Legion, the arena, or in front of the Legion, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like I know when I used to play baseball in Winnipeg, sometimes you had to walk half a mile to get to the diamonds.
It's amazing how people don't like to have to walk to go play sports.
Defeats the purpose. I think if we have them back there, we shouldn't have to worry about people running into it because they would have already had to cut through a ditch to do it. At which point, my sympathy for their bumpers really gone downhill. You know.
Yeah.
That's right.
I agree. I like either way. I like the boulders. If we put painted posts, just understand that there's a cost that comes along with that, right? Like it's another cost we have to absorb somewhere, and everything costs money, right? Boulders, we might be able to talk to some of the local trucking companies if they have big enough stuff, and we could maybe get them donated, right? Like, but getting someone to drive me posts in to stop things going is going to be a cost, right? And then the last thing I have on there is just general landscaping and gravel we need for the parking lot once kind of everything is finished and we're ready to just put the final coats of, gravel around the bathrooms and what have you. So that's all I had for landscaping and field work. If anybody's got any questions there.
Any comments?
What kind of a price did you come up with, Jay, on doing all this work?
I don't have many prices. Prices are changing daily right now with COVID. The fencing I have pricing, and the fencing is really the only thing I have pricing on. The ditch work, I'm hoping I can talk the RM into doing for us again. The trench falling in, Potsy coming to fix it. He said couple $100 to come back there with his Bobcat and fix it. He was going to give me a quote and I would get it off to Darcy before we ever let him come in and do work there. The fence to be fixed, me and Brent will look at that. Maybe we can do it ourselves. Maybe we can ask CP Fencing to fix it a little bit before he attaches that new fence onto there, right?
Yeah,
It's not that bad. That fencing
No, if they're
isn't
going to
that
be
bad.
there
It just-
doing, if they're going to be doing a bunch of other stuff, it could be a 20-minute fix for them, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's an easy job. I'm sure they'll be able to fix it for us, right? And the fence across the gate across the road to block the access, I don't have prices on that, but I can get, if you guys let me know the direction you want to go, whether you want to go with driven posts or with boulders, I can start looking at getting prices. And of course, I've been through this with you guys before. I know I got to get approval before I can let anybody start working there, right?
Well, I think the boulders is, personally, that's, I certainly agree with that approach.
Okay. And obviously there would be we'd have to get 2 posts driven in to hold the gate up, right? So it
Right.
can, but I'm thinking we could talk to one of the local welding shops and just get them to give us a price on, fabricating and installing the gate, one price, and just be done with it, right?
Yeah.
You think you can talk them into donating it?
I don't know, Ted, I've done lots of begging in this project. I think I'm slowly running out of favors for all you guys.
Uh-huh.
But I'll tell you what, I'm very happy with the product we've got there so far. I know it's a little ways from being finished, but overall it's very, very nice. And from my understanding, I think there's even been a few inquiries on rentals already. People have contacted Jay-Z and asked, like, how do we go about renting it for a family barbecue? And he just said to them, well, hold off. We have to iron that stuff out, right? Because it would be nice to have the user fees put in place, but we'll talk about that later.
So let's move on to the building. Okay.
Okay, so the structure, one of the biggest hurdles I've had all winter is lining the insides of the bathrooms. Every product they look at, price out, they come back and say to me, if you don't have heat in there, you're wasting your money. So what we did on Saturday is me and Jay-Z went in there and we pulled off one piece of plywood on one bathroom interior wall between both bathrooms. And Greg Cuthbert's going to come have a look at fishing the wire in there so we can have a baseboard heater in each bathroom because they're fully insulated. And this way we can keep the heat. It'll be in the wintertime. It can just sit at 2, 3, 5 degrees, whatever it is, so that doesn't totally freeze. We'll put the controller inside the mechanical room so the temperature will be set in there, and then nobody can ever play with the temperature in the bathroom. It would just go on for the winter. So whatever we put for material inside there stays where it was put and doesn't start buckling off the wall or what have you, right? So Greg's gonna get me a quote on that to add to that price. I don't know what that'll be. I can't see it being crazy. It's one wire and a couple baseboard heaters. And then we're gonna look at how we're gonna line it, whether we're gonna go with just the puck board in there, but you guys know as well as I do, materials have jumped like crazy. Darcy did us really good by paying for all that material before the jump came. Al kept all his prices and we saved quite a bit of money by avoiding the COVID tax on the lumber we bought for what we already have there. Yeah, and the bathrooms, I have all the toilets, sinks, faucets, all that stuff is paid for and ready to be installed. The holdup is the plumber wants the bathrooms lined, right? He wants them, whatever the finishing is on the wall. So then we can start putting the dividers in and all that fun stuff. But until we get the heat in there and we decide what we're putting on the walls, it's kind of putting us on hold a little bit.
Okay.
Any questions about the bathrooms?
No. Okay, carry on.
So the kitchen area. The kitchen area is one other spot where we don't have a plan. We want to know how far the town and the RM wants to go to spend money. If we just want to put siding on the back of it and it stays like that, it's plumbed in. One day we can put water and sinks and all that stuff. But with the concept we went with the open kitchen all the time, you can't just have a sink sitting there. If you're going to put a sink and a stove and a cooler, you need some sort of roll down, lockdown cabinets in the back. And again, that costs money, right? Like, where do we want to go? How far do we want to go with that? Because in my opinion, there's other things that need to be done first, like the bathrooms need to get done, stuff like that before the kitchen ever needs to be assessed. But I don't know where we sit with our budget. Me and Darcy have had some great debates over the budget. Me and her don't fully see eye to eye on there, but it is what it is. And the building is up and we need to finish it. I think we all can agree on that, right? So one other area we're having trouble with deciding is the picnic area ceiling, which is basically the underside of the covered picnic area. We were going to do soffit, but then there was some concern with people that if it's just soffit, it can get dented by balls, bats, you know what I mean? It's a big span of aluminum and it's not that rigid, right? So Debbie did a lot of work for me at Home Hardware, sourcing out other things that we could put on the ceiling. And again, prices were just like, it was $10,000 to put pine on the ceiling there.
Wow.
Like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Did you look at just putting that soffit material on the ceiling?
The soffit would be somewhere between 2,500 and $3,000, somewhere in there. Which I think, like Al Richter said to me at the end, he said, if you put soffit and it gets dented, you can change it 3 times for the price you're going to pay for pine or, you know, fake siding, right?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, you definitely have a point, right? Like, so I think we need to have a talk about that. Like we've kind of been, me and Jay-Z have been back and forth on that about 20 times over the winter. Brick is going on starting, I think he said April the 19th. That's been paid for in the budget. And he said he'll be there about a week and a half, and the brick on the outside bottom 3 feet will be done.
So the material is paid for, but the installation isn't paid for yet, right?
That's correct. Yeah. But
What's the installation work?
I don't have that in front of me, Gordon.
Okay.
But we also cut back on the rock. We were going to do 3 feet around the bottom of the building, and then we were going to do every individual post with rock 3 feet up. We got rid of the posts and the material. So some of the bill that she's paid for material will just go towards the labor now, right? Because we've cut back on the amount of rock we put on, just because we made a boo-boo in design, you know, like this has been free engineering you got from us and stuff. So the posts were put on the outside of the pad. So if we would have put rock on the outside, the rock would have sticked out farther than the building rock would have done, and it would have looked silly. So we decided to hold back on that. We saved a little bit of costs, and in my opinion, it'll look a lot better.
Okay.
Jay Usakis is doing the eaves trough, and he said it'll be done in the next week. I touched base with him today, so that'll be done. The beams inside, we don't know what to do there either, because we're kind of holding off until we decide what type of material we're putting inside the picnic area, right? Because it's all kind of got to flow together there, whether it goes with a white tin or like a blue tin, like the siding, or we got to decide what's happening there. We can't fully, until we decide on the ceiling material, we don't know what we're doing for the beam too, but we're leaning towards metal clad there.
Metal inside, Jay?
What's that?
Metal on the ceiling inside?
The problem with metal inside, Ted, is that we chose to go with pot lights for everything because it was our cheapest option for lighting. But as soon as you get a rib in where your pot light goes, it looks like hell. So
Yeah.
we talked about tin, but we've sort of went away from it for that very reason, because you'd have to make sure all your ribs lined up where your lights weren't, right? So plus, I think the soffit would be a better look, and it's a cheaper option than tin, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Corey,
Well,
go ahead.
that's
Sorry,
an
I'm just-
outside structure. It's not going to be enclosed at all, is it?
No.
Why not just put pot lights on the joists, et cetera, going across, and save some money there?
Not sure what you mean.
Because it's
Ted.
going to be a rustic look of the building, and
Well,
You mean don't put any?
Go ahead.
You mean don't put anything on the ceiling? Just put the pot lights onto the joists that are there?
well, I
If
don't know,
could-
it's just a thought.
Could I just suggest that you have to put something there, because you'll have every bird in town will be in there building the nest, and there'll be poo all over everything in there.
That's the concern. The birds will nest in there.
No.
And I don't know if you guys are familiar, but Hydro's going through literally hell right now with birds nesting and trying to keep them out. It's like a major problem. It's worse than taking care of the fish now.
Yeah.
So, and also like whatever material basically holds your lights in place, right? Because the pot light just snaps into whatever material you have, right?
Yeah, no, I understand that. Oh, yeah,
It was just, that's been
all
one
right.
thing, that's been one thing since the start. We really couldn't decide on what we were doing. And we sort of left it and said, let's get the building up and we'll decide. And now the building's up and we still are having trouble deciding. If we were willing to spend 10 grand on it, I could have it done already, but that's kind of expensive.
It is. And the soffit material does give a nice finish as well.
Yeah, and you know what? It is 10 feet in the air or 9 feet in the air. It's going to be pretty hard for a kid to get a bat up there, right? Like,
Yeah.
so. Corey Solness is going to get us the Lamacoids for designation for bathroom and mechanical room on the outside of the door. I just got to do that and get that done whenever the bathrooms start coming together. The countertop, we've decided to go with a concrete countertop. Jay Usakis is going to make this countertop in his shop. It'll be a one-piece countertop. We're going to try and talk to the people like of town, and we'd like to put like old like baseball memorabilia in there, like, you know, I'm not sure, like, I'm not a baseball bat or a ball, but like a card or something, because you can like, you put a epoxy over it and you can have like cool things underneath this epoxy if they're really thin. So we're trying to see if we can get some stuff like that that would be, you know, to the historical part of old baseball and the Huskies and, you know, the old park. But we decided we're going with concrete. We just feel it's the best. We can support it with doing a rim around the ICF wall, and then it'll only have like an inch overhang. That way kids can't damage it. It'll be like inch or two thick. It'll be solid, right? Like it'll be pretty much damage proof, or we hope.
Yeah.
I don't know what the cost is on that. Jay basically said to me, I'll do it for like what it costs me, right? Like I'll do it as a favor to the town, right? Like to the Diamonds.
Yeah.
I know Darcy and Brent, we had talked about picnic tables at the town yard.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is there still some available? Do they need refurbishing?
You talking for like permanent residency out there?
Permanent residents.
Because I know we've got a bunch, and they, you know, we tend to get people book them and we lend them out for summer. So I don't know what everybody's thoughts are as far as permanent relocation. I mean, we've definitely got a bunch. It's a matter of whether town wants to permanently leave them there as opposed to lending them out. I mean, I have to say a lot of the people that bore them are probably RM residents rather than town necessarily.
Well, we've got a dozen, don't we, Brent?
Somewhere in that range, yeah. 10
Yeah.
to 12, 8 to 10, somewhere in 10, at least 10 of them for sure.
How many do we need, Jay?
I would say like 6, 8 would be good, somewhere in that range. Like even if you had frames, Brent, where the toppings are really like in trouble, me and Jay-Z would be willing to just retop them for minimal use if they could be permanent residents.
They're in pretty solid shape. Like if anything, maybe repainting, but they're pretty sound. They're pretty good.
The other option to explore is the Hutterites sell a 4-sided picnic table, and it's basically a square, and you can fit 2 people on each side, right? So it'll sit 8 people, and they sell them for about $350, $400 a piece. That's another option, but again, I know we're spending a lot of money here, and we just can't be throwing the checkbook at this whole project, right? So if there's places where we can save, let's try to save.
And Brent,
Got to find that checkbook first.
Well, I pay my taxes every year. You got some money.
I do too.
Are we using those for anything, you know, that are community events?
I'm not I don't know. I have to say last year we had no community events, so I'm not
Oh, right,
100%
yeah,
sure.
so,
But
yeah.
yeah.
Greg, did
Typically, if they're
the
gonna be
Lions
used-
Club get them for the?
Yeah, everybody that has an event has a tendency to come and want to borrow those picnic tables.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
fire and water and.
Yeah, it's a commonly known thing that they're there and people are always asking for them.
Mhm.
But maybe
But
we
it's
can
just-
figure,
If it's private events, you know, I frankly, I'm not personally concerned about that, but if it's community events that we've been using them for and are using them, you know, to commit them in two places.
yeah, that's where they get used. Canada Day weekend, they're scattered around here and there and used, and Fire and Water uses them. They depend on them to have for seating
Mhm.
and stuff.
See, that's the problem, right? Canada
Yeah.
Day comes around and they need them around town, but there will be a
Ye-
baseball tournament that same weekend, right? So we're gonna need them the same time, right? Like, you know what I can do for you? I can get a price from the Hutterites, tell them to give us a price on 6, see what it is, and then you guys can review it and we can go from there, I guess is an option.
Okay,
That sound good? Like, good idea?
Good.
Yeah, well, that's what
go ahead, Greg.
that's what we need to do. We probably need to get more here somewhere along the way.
Yeah, I'll get a price on 6 because I think 6 4-sided ones in that area I think would be plenty, and then they could be a permanent resident there. But if the town had a function that the diamonds weren't being used, well, then you're fully welcome to take them and use them wherever you need them, right? Like if Fire and Water needed them or whatever, right?
Yeah, good. Okay, what else?
That's basically it for the structure. That would finish the structure to the point where it would be usable, minus the kitchen, right? Because until we make a decision on the kitchen, but I feel there's more important things than finishing the kitchen right now. I think there's other, like, get the bathrooms functioning, get the brick on, get the ceiling done, get all the lights in, stuff like that. And then we can worry about the kitchen at a later time, or maybe we never do it, right? I don't know. We'll see.
What's the price on the eaves trough for Jay?
I think it was 1750, 1745 or something.
Okay,
I can send that email to Darcy tomorrow.
okay, good.
But that's all I have for the structure.
Mhm.
You guys ready to move on to the financial part?
Yep,
Okay, so I helped you guys build this thing. I had no intentions on running it financially, but here we are. I talked to Robin Emberley, who is in charge of Lac du Bonnet baseball. Ollie, come here. And she was asking me about user fees because she knew that with the new diamonds, it was coming up. And I said, I think it's safe to say that we can start with a $20 user fee for this year. I said, that's negotiable after. I said, it probably will go up because you have a nice facility there with running water bathrooms. So she agreed that $20 means $20 a practice, $20 a game, no matter what you use it. If you book that diamond for that time, it's $20 user fee. She kind of built that $20 for this year into her fees for baseball. So she is fully willing and ready to pay like a user fee for this year.
Is that per person?
Per person,
Well, you said $20 user fee, so
per game, per team.
per team, okay.
Team, like per practice, for a game. So that team would pay $20. The whole
Okay.
Oh, two
our
teams?
home team. It might be cheap and
Well,
it probably has to go up, but that's where we need to sit down and figure out what our bills are, what's this gonna cost. We were supposed to have this meeting in January, but here it is in April.
Jay, if you have a game.
Yeah.
There's two teams on the field playing the game.
But you
That would
can't,
be $40 for the game.
no,
would
because
it not?
you can't bill an out-of-town team. They're coming to use your facility. You supply the home field for the game, right? You can't bill the other team.
Okay. Next.
Bookings. How are we going to do bookings? Is the rec director going to be involved? How are we going to do bookings?
Kristen is more than happy to work with all the groups and set up whatever scheduling needs to be scheduled. I know that I think she had some previous discussion with Robin. I'm not really sure, but I know once upon a time Winnipeg Rec did do some of the bookings and stuff way back many years ago, because Kristen had actually found an old document that pertained to the user fees from long ago. So at one point, I know that they were involved. How it got away or whatever happened, I don't know. But she's definitely more than willing and able to get back involved again, and is more than happy to work with everybody.
So I have an idea. We
Okay.
talked today, me and Jay-Z, about disbanding pitch similar to how the arena board runs. Would be the board of the facility would take over the slow pitch counts just like the arena board. It would have, set the fees for the league. What we would want out of you guys is we would want, similar to the arena board, like a member of the RM, a member of town. Hopefully Kristen, if she is the rec director, she would join us on that board and she could be in charge of bookings as a part of her job. I don't know how that works. I don't know how it all comes together. But is that an option? Do we all like that? Can it work?
So what's the role of the board, I guess, is what I would be interested to know from your perspective.
Well, the role of the board would essentially be to take care of the facility, manage fees and bookings, and pay bills that have to be associated with the diamonds.
Okay.
Pay the hydro bill, pay the water bill, work with Brent for how maintenance is going to work out and grass cutting and stuff like that, right?
I get, and I'm not throwing cold water on that idea. I'm just trying to figure out whether we actually need a board. And I mean, if our town is doing the maintenance, if our guys are doing the maintenance, and Kristen is doing all the bookings, we maybe need to sit down and talk to the leagues when we set up the fee structure to make sure it's workable for everybody. And I'm just wondering whether it even requires a board. That's all.
Gordon, that's news to my ears. If you don't want a board, I'm all in.
I mean, you'll
If
have your
I-
slow pitch organization and whatever other groups are there, and and you'll do your internal thing and you'll organize your leagues and your but Kristen would be the contact for bookings and you need to, as you begin the season, you need to think in terms of, we're going to book this for X number of times and so on.
Winnipeg River Rec used to look after that for the minor sports part of it. Not the slow pitch part, but they used to take there was fees for the kids to play. Used to sign up just like everything else, and that was looked after by the Winnipeg River Rec at one time. I can remember that. I was a parent involved and had a child playing some minor sports, and that's how it worked then. And I don't see why that couldn't work that way now, and expand it to include slow pitch.
Yeah, no, I am all, if you guys want to get the bookings and then, so then how does the hydro bill and the water bill get paid? We pay our fees to the town monthly and then you take care of the hydro and the water? Is that how we would do that kind of
If
bill?
we're going to do it that way, yeah.
Yeah, if the
Wherever the
town,
money feeds into, got to pay the bills,
so, and all we would do is slow pitch. We would leave our slow pitch board, which we already have in place. It's been in place for years.
Yeah.
We would just, at the end of the year, we'd say, this is what we use for the diamonds, or at the end of the month, whatever you wanted to do, and this is what we owe you X, right?
Yeah, well, and I think that's basically the way the curling club, Brian, you're on that. That's the way the curling club works with the community center, right?
Yeah, the curling club has its own internal board, and then they've hired their own ice maker for the year, which is a contract that the ice maker signs. And then the board, the curling board pays a rental fee to the community center. So you're kind of looking at something kind of like that, where Kristen is probably doing the booking and paying the bills, and the baseball group is paying a fee to River Rec to kind of do the administration part of the stuff there.
Yeah.
And that way the money trail is kind of pretty clean and easy, because I mean, you don't want it to be too complicated with where the money's going. If you have two separate accounts being set up, then it's a bit of a problem some ways, right? So
Brian, like, does it matter when you are a RM resident curling or a town resident curling? Doesn't matter at all, right?
no, but what happens here is that the community center keeps track of, make sure you fill out a form to say, even the curling club has to have its members fill out a form to say if they're from the arm of Alexander, the town, or the arm of Lac du Bonnet, because they just like curling Manitoba wants that data, but so does the community center as to who are the users and where they're coming from. So, you know, locally, that's always a good idea to find out, because that's always a good stat to have. You know,
Well-
if your baseball diamond is being used by 65% RM residents, that's good to know, right? I mean, especially when you're going to them for asking for money for various projects.
I would say the number would be way higher than 60%.
Yeah, it's just a simple form you have them fill out when they're doing their softball registration in the spring. So,
Because I know Beausejour tried to initiate a user fee of $50 for every RM resident that used the baseball diamonds one year, and it went terribly. Like it was a nightmare.
I think it's better you just have it by team, because then the team just gives it to the one person who hands it to the you know, your internal board, and then that's given over to Kristen to pay the bills throughout the summer months that's being for the water and hydro that's being used.
And our goal here is to hopefully the ball diamonds can take care of themselves financially. I would hope it never turns into, excuse my words, but a burden like the arena. Like, I love the arena as much as the next person, but it really is an ongoing burden that we have to deal with for the next 40 years, because we're never getting a new one. I'd like to think that the baseball diamonds, once we get through this initial cost to build it and have it functioning, that it won't be as expensive as a curling rink or a hockey rink, right?
Mhm.
I'd like to hope, anyway.
Yeah, well, it's got much more limited facilities in building and all the rest of it, and ice making machines and that kind of thing. We don't have that at all. So,
But going back to the kitchen, Gordon, if we put a nice like barbecue in there in a roll down lockdown cabinet, and you were renting that, if somebody wanted to come to town for a family reunion of 40 people, they could come there, rent it off Darcy or Kristen, whoever books it. You get the keys for the barbecue area, you roll that door up, and that barbecue is vented right to the outside, and you can just barbecue right in there. And when you're done, you lock it up and you leave. And that's a way of the town making money on that building too, right?
yeah, and Kristen would have the schedule, so she knows when it's available. And
And that's how those rentals would then be used to create a reserve fund for that facility. So down the road, when, you know, there's repairs that need to be made or something like that, there's a fund there, right? It's kind of what the curling club does with its own. It has its own kind of reserve fund that it uses to help contribute for costs that are, or things like that, like here where it's like new rocks or a new scraper or something like that for the curling club. That comes out of the curling club fees that are generated through the curlers.
So you're saying if we wanted new base pads for the diamonds, where would that come out of if the town was running it? Would the town pay for it, or does the league that's using it pay for it?
Well, I was just thinking, like, if you're getting rentals using the facility, that money would go into a reserve fund, right? Rather than just in the town's coffers or something like that, right? It's
So if
something that everyone can track and see.
So let's say it's $500 to use and rent the facility for the year. You charge a team $700. That's where you're putting $200 into your reserve fund all the time.
Right.
Probably something like that, yeah.
If you're hooked up with Winnipeg River Rec, I mean, there's a fee for all the different things that the Winnipeg River Rec does, puts on programs and all that kind of stuff here. I think we could probably sit down and figure something out here in a fee schedule and have like Winnipeg River Rec even just manage the whole thing for you. If Kristen is able to do that, if she's got the time to do it, we might want to talk to her. But
Sounds good to me, Nick, and we can work with her too, right? And get her going.
yeah, well, she her office is right there too now. I mean, there's a lot of benefits to that. She also has access to grants, so there might be some things, you want new bases or something like that. Well, maybe there's grant money available to get some of these things. We got bikes for people to ride, and we got, all that kind of stuff already. And we just expand it a little bit, make it a little bit bigger. That's all.
So I just like to add too, like, this can't be forgotten that the deal was we donated the 35,000 personally out of Slow Pitch's money. That the deal was, I talked to Darcy about that Slow Pitch gets 5 years of use of the diamonds for rent free. Like we gave a lot of money, and we can't just give our members money away for nothing, right? Like, we built a beautiful structure which everybody wants that use it there, but I also hope that we're going to honor the 5 year of rent free. And then after the 5 year 6, we start paying rent like everybody else pays rent that uses that diamond.
Okay, so what's the ratio now of those that are what Slow Pitch use versus what everybody else is using?
So Slow Pitch runs Tuesday nights and Thursday nights, and they book the two we need 2 diamonds every night for Tuesday, Thursday. So we used to move it around sometimes depending on minor baseball. If there was too many teams and they needed practice facilities, we would move to a Tuesday and a Friday, or we'd move around to help them fit everybody in. Because Gordon, 2 years ago, the diamonds were booked from Monday night until Thursday night. Every night from basically like 5:30 till 8:30 at night, they were booked solid.
Mm-hmm. So you're playing two games back to back then on each diamond?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you, as each team, you go there, you play 2 games every night.
Yeah.
And then
So what percentage, just to my original question, what percentage of the bookings would be Slow Pitch versus all the others? 25%, 50%?
In May and June, it would probably be 50%, but in July and August, baseball shuts down and it's basically just Slow Pitch there in July and August, right?
Okay, yeah, because I'm just looking at that and saying, okay, so Slow Pitch gets 5 years free. What's the actual revenue stream in order to offset that?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, but your big money months are going to be May and June, when all the minor teams and there's also Lee River senior team that uses it. They understand that there's going to be a user fee now too. They play Mondays at 4 o'clock, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They get teams coming from all over the place, like Charleswood and Selkirk. And
so who has coordinated this in the past?
Coordinated what?
Well, the bookings and so on.
It's kind of been a gong show, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of been like Slow Pitch has had the like Slow Pitch originally built those diamonds, right? Way back in the 90s. And from my understanding, when baseball had trouble with Robin or whatever, she would just come to the Slow Pitch president and say, hey, I need you guys to move your things around in May and June, and we would work with them, right? Like, I wasn't the president, but I was on the board. And of course, for kids, we're willing to move at any time, right? But
yeah.
And then the other big thing we have is Slow Pitch runs the July long tournament, right?
Right.
So after 5 years, that tournament would be a moneymaker for the town, right? Because you'd be charging per game. So let's say that tournament has 30 games. Well, you would make 30 games times 20. I'm sure it won't be $20 forever. I think it's got to go up. I can tell by your smile, Gordon, you think it's got to go up now, but
Well, you know, as you were saying earlier, we need to figure out how to make the
There's no
budget
money
work.
coming anywhere.
And if it's a worthy facility, it should earn its keep, you know?
but at the same time, the town has to have these facilities to keep growing as a town, right? You can't
Oh,
just
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
If you want to attract people to come move here and live here, you need a nice baseball diamond. I'm sure there's people that want a pool, but we have a river. You know what I mean? Like, you need facilities to attract people.
Yeah.
Because if they drive through Bossier and see everything they have brand new, and we don't have anything new, and we're not growing as a community, you're not going to attract people to come here.
Yeah. Good. Anything else? Any
Yeah,
questions?
Jay,
Yep.
summertime, the Three Diamonds, how much usage will they see?
Like I said, June or May and June.
I know May and June are the big months. July 1st, it's
Yeah.
always been a tournament.
But then after that, it settles right down and it basically is slow pitch Tuesday, Thursdays. And then our tournament is always, the wind-up tournament is always the weekend after September long weekend.
Yeah.
So end of September, it's basically shut down there and it's not used till May again, right? Or April. April, they'll start throwing balls around there, I'm sure, in a couple weeks, because I think the league starts in May. So they'll be in there in a couple weeks starting to go.
Okay. Brent, any issues on your side there? Do you want to raise?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we
Okay.
can, I don't know if you want to touch base next week, Jay, and we can meet there one day if you have a chance, if you got time, or, all right, I mean, I can go there and check some elevations on that ditch and have a look at that fence too, so.
I'll text you next time I'm on strike for hydro.
Are you still rotating?
Yeah, we're still rotating. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I hope you're not friends with Pallister, Gordon.
No, he hasn't actually been a great friend to date anyways.
Brent, one more question about the diamonds. I know, like, do you guys do a regular weed eating job there, or is it just kind of when one of us requests? So I know you guys cut the grass on a schedule, but like as far as the weed eating goes,
It's a little bit, I wouldn't say sporadic, but we check it on a semi-regular basis. I mean, we could definitely check it and do it a little more often. I know we sprayed it, I think, at least once last year, I think. So
would you be open to weed eating it and rounding up like right tight in like on the fences?
for sure.
Well, then we wouldn't have to worry about weed eating, all year long, right? So
Yeah, I can talk to the Agassiz weed guys, and they can definitely spray that.
yeah,
We can add that to what they spray.
yeah, because it would be nice because if we whipper snipped it nice in middle of May and they sprayed it in June, you probably wouldn't have to worry about it the rest of the year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Well, Jay, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We do need to move on with the rest of our agenda. And I think
Okay.
we've got everything covered here. And we'll put some numbers together here and see where we can go.
Okay, I will, the quotes I have, I will send off to Darcy for approval, and those ones we can start moving forward with, or whatever we want to do there.
Yeah.
And my family's home now, so.
Yeah, you'll get the quote on the picnic table as well, or
Yeah,
table.
I'll do that, yeah.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you so much.
No problem, anytime.
Alrighty, take care.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jay.
Have a good one.
Okay, talk to you later.
All right, let's get back to our agenda. Okay, we're back on budget, Darcy. Sorry to interrupt you there, but
Okay, so on page 4 of the budget, towards the bottom under environmental development services, I'd added a line for environmental options. This was regarding the 60,000 budget for the year that we had previously talked about. That was previously approved by council, but I had put it into the budget for this year. Also, the beautification and land rehabilitation, we basically use this as part of our cachet for doing any of the planters or the additional fertilizer and stuff for the baskets and flowers and anything around town, additional soil work. In the past, we've always budgeted for 25,000, but on average, we're spending less than 20,000 per year. So I just logged it in at 23, 185. It's kind of an oddball amount, but I basically put in that amount because I did order some new planters that'll be coming in, or actually have arrived by now. Agassiz weed under the urban weed area control will remain at 15,000. This is the third year in a row that they're holding at that particular levy. It's always worked well. There hasn't been any significant increases in regards to the chemicals that are being utilized on an annual basis. So we are doing quite well with that. Regional development, we had in for 40,000 last year. We spent $248, so I'm not going to bother wasting my time dumping all this money in for something that's not going to happen. I basically bumped it down to 10,000 so I could utilize those funds elsewhere. And then for tourism, we had last couple of years we budgeted for 2,000, and last year we spent just under $150, so I just dropped it down to 1,000. Under recreation and cultural services, as part of the package that I had sent electronically to council, under recreation as well as the community center, I had added a considerable amount of comments in regards to the cells so that you could see. For example, recreation is based on the amount for beach staff that the RM is paying, for what town is paying for our portion, and then of course the grants that have come in or been applied for in regards to the summer staff, which constitutes, when you take out the difference, is the 27,175. The community center is basically works the same type of way. They submitted their ask this year for the community center. The municipal portion of the taxes are basically being transparent in them presenting it, but there's also refundable, which was part of the discussion that had basically taken place. Plus, they'd added additional $924 for their rental revenue. With the arena, their ask was 51,705. I've allocated an additional 0.50%. 0.50 is based on the CPI from 2020, which equates to $258.53. The RM has agreed to fund $38,029.20. So basically the difference between the 51,963 to what the RM is paying leaves us a difference of 13,934.33. Playgrounds and parks have basically increased it to 15,000 this year. We've got some quotes out right now that have come back for some additional playground structure for the beach area. We've got 2 grants that have gone out and we're waiting to hear back. We're hoping that we will be successful in that regard. The lifeguard portion, of course, is 13,500, which is our portion for what we pay. Under the museums, for MHAC as well as the Historical Society, there's a little bit of an increase that has gone on there. With regards to the Historical Society, they, as part of their ask for this year, they're asking for payroll service again to take place for their summer student. I don't know if that's agreeable to council. I'll be perfectly honest. I did the payroll service last year to help them out because the poor kid had put in almost 7 weeks worth of work and had not received a single cent in payment because the RM payroll clerk decided, or whoever decided from the RM of Lac du Bonnet, not to continue that particular service. And of course, no one from Historical Society has the ability to be able to do payroll. I took it over last year just to get this poor kid paid, but now it's become an ask. So I really don't want to do it. It's not my employee. I'd rather not do a payroll works for people that aren't my staff. But I mean, I do get that, sometimes not everybody in the area can process payroll. So if that's the wish of council to get me to do it again, I'll do it. But that's just my own personal stand. Libraries have basically stayed the same for their ask. The youth center building, like the old curling rink building, last year we spent $17,041. I basically increased the budget from 12,000 to 15,000. It is an old building. There's, more weird things that kind of pop up that we have to remedy and get fixed. There was some electrical issues as well as some plumbing issues there this past year, which constitute the 17,000 that was spent. So I did increase it a little bit. The rec lands for the former Lakers Club, it's basically just the insurance cost that has increased, actually decreased there. It's like $322. Last year we budgeted 1,000. I dropped it down to 500. The Communities in Bloom kind of coincides with part of our beautification program. Typically, Communities in Bloom has always been with Virginia Matthews and her very green magic fingers. She always does a marvelous job on our flower beds and doing our planting underneath the towers as well as in our parks. And she's always very hardworking in doing a lot of the weed cleanup and so on. Basically only spent $3,600 last year. I just dropped the budget down to 3,000 from 4,000. The amount that she's basically spending this year, she's ordered the same plants as we're going with a new garden center. And I'm pretty certain that the quality of plant will be excellent and the prices will be significantly less than what we have been paying. So we've got that in the works right now. Public Works has already dropped off the 32 baskets that we have. We've also ordered all the additional plants and things to get them ready so they can go to seed, so that they are ready for pickup, and our guys can go ahead and put the plants into the urns and the planter pots all around town that we have situated. And I know that we've also taken care of ordering exactly what Virginia wants so that she gets exactly the plants that she needs for the areas that she takes care of for us. So moving on, under fiscal services is basically the transfer to capital, and that's basically based on the big projects with the water line replacement as well as the intake water line, which we've added forth in the budget. The transfer to utility is basically the portion of tax that we collect through the general side of taxes that gets transferred over to the utility on an annual basis. With regards to the reserves, I've basically just thrown in 25,000 right across the board. General reserve being 50,000. The airport reserve has been $1,400 forever. And the one notice of change this year is there'll be an increase in the gas tax reserve. And that's based on that 5-year schedule that government had sent us previously a couple of years ago. They hold the line for a couple of years and then they increased it for a couple of years. So it's gone from 58,606 to 61,270. There has been discussion in the works where there's a very good possibility where government will be doubling it as a one-time payment this year again, because we're still going through COVID and we're still in code red, but I haven't received notification of that just yet. So we'll see how that works out. With regards to page number 6, there's been actually a considerable increase with regards to the bulk water for what we have picked up and gone through in years past. There's been some slight changes, some really off the wall changes. Like I said, with regards to the water sales, Not a whole lot has been adjusted in and out and through here. The biggest change that has basically come through is that, we don't have a big grant coming through with regards to our water line project. This year, you'll notice that the transfer to the water reserve for water and wastewater are significantly reduced compared to what we've done in the past. We know that, there was an additional 30,000 that was basically as part of that I'd put into utility reserve for water and wastewater. Normally we have a zero balanced budget, but we really don't put anything into any kind of surplus with regards to utility. So I basically backed out and left 30,000 sitting as the net operating surplus. I can dump it back into reserves if that's what you want.
Question, Darcy. Last year, you put 100,000 into the wastewater reserve.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We only came out of it with 22,000. Lost your
Well, I
voice.
moved it. Well, the monies that you see there, Ted, that's exactly what I put in to the
Oh,
reserve.
no, I
So
know
you've
that's
got-
what you put in. But we didn't have the money. It came out of water money.
Yeah, and that's where it should be. Water should pay for water.
That's wastewater.
There's water, there's wastewater, and you've also got the savings account for utility.
We've lost you, Darcy.
I'm still here.
Okay, there you go. You're back on now. Now you're gone
You
again.
have to,
I don't know what's
Darcy,
going on with the internet.
The video isn't matching her speaking for sure.
no.
Sorry, Darcy, you're completely missing here on voice. Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can
Yeah.
hear you. Yeah. Now you're gone again.
I don't know what to tell you. I need to do something about this horrible internet. Okay, so do you still expect an answer, Ted, or do you want to
Yeah.
haggle this for tomorrow?
All as I'm looking at is the revenue from the sewer is 100 and some thousand, and the expenses is 100 and some thousand. Just it leaves about 22,000 on it, where we would have to, well, not even 22, but I figured out we'd have to put back into the wherever the money came from, 80,134 out of that 100. Because if Randy's going to go through the books again, he'll find that we'll have trouble again. And
Okay, so what do you want? What do you want to change?
well, I would just put whatever the difference is, put it back into the account that you took it out of. Because the only sewer money we have, sewage money, is what we generate between Tanco and the town.
Well, earlier this year, when we did the cost allocation as per the PUB order, and we had the lump sum, and you and Gordon were here in the office, and I asked you guys, how would you like me to split this? And you guys said you wanted to do a 70-30 split. So with regards to the reserve monies that I listed here, that's how I did it. Now I can make it any percentage that you want. I can split it equally. I can put one or the other. But all I did was follow the 70-30 split of what you wanted. So 70 for water and 30 for sewer.
Which is the breakdown of our water revenue versus our sewage revenue, is a 70-30
Yeah.
split.
I mean, I can change this and put whatever you want.
No,
I'm not understanding, Ted, why I'm missing something there and why you're wanting to change that. Sorry, I'm not.
well,
Not
I'm
tracking with you.
missing something. I'm missing something too, Gordon, because the revenue that we get from Tanco is virtually about 7,000 on the sewage.
Yeah,
And the town gives, a little better than 100, but the expenses are 124,000
right.
on the sewage. And, there's not much money left on what we get out of 6,000 plus the sewer services charge, which is 29,000 plus 12 plus 15 plus.
We can't understand you, Ted. You gotta get over closer to your microphone.
Oh, okay. Well, the revenue from the sewer, there's 4 for the town. It's 87,000 plus 29 plus 12 and 15.
Yeah,
And
I think I understand where you're going now, Ted. So the fact is that our net revenue for the water is a lot higher than our net
it's
revenue
off
for
the
the
page.
wastewater.
Yeah, it's revenue for water because you're counting bulk and everything in on the water. It's way out of the thing.
Okay, but where we went and.
Yeah, no, I
Darcy, don't know
understand
whether
where,
you were talking, just a second, Ted, just a second. Darcy, I don't know whether were you talking to us or were you talking to somebody else there? Because we
I was coughing.
couldn't hear a thing.
oh.
No, I was
didn't hear.
coughing.
Okay.
Oh.
I leaned back away from the microphone.
Oy, oy, oy.
Yeah, this is bad tonight. So
Internet isn't very good tonight.
so
Boy.
I think the $100,000 that we had as a surplus last year, when we said split it to 30-70, that's reasonable because that's the revenue split on the water. But the fact is that we make a much larger margin on the water than we do on the other. That's why it seems to be an imbalance there.
Well,
So we need to
Don't you
decide one
want-
way or the other, and we did make that direction for Darcy as she was looking at her budget planning.
no, I understand that, but when the numbers have come out and that's what's in the budget, if Randy takes a look at it, that we were able out of those numbers to put 100,000 in when we only had a revenue of 124.
That's pretty good.
Oh, I think it is. I wish we could do that on all of it. But it doesn't work out that way.
No, you're right. Yeah. Well, I think we confused those two areas or weren't clear enough on those two areas. And we made that 30-70 split based on one area of discussion.
Yeah,
And so I think, I don't know, you can debate that back and forth, which way we should have done that. And
yeah.
this is where we're at. So unless somebody's pushing hard to change that around the group, I would suggest we leave it.
Okay by me.
Darcy, do you want to carry on there? Or did you have more?
Okay. Basically on page 8, which is the breakdown of the mill rates. There's been a little bit of give and take, a little bit of up and down. For the most part, I've pretty much held the line in regards to the mill rate. There's like a slight little bump downward compared to last year, but it's just basically more or less in the rounding between the special service levies that we have. I've pretty much kept it the same as much as possible. We do need funds to operate, but in the same token, I mean, we certainly don't want to hamper any of our residents any more than what what the pandemic and everything is doing to them now. So the mill rate pretty much stays the same, hasn't really changed. Page 9 lists our grants in lieu of taxes, which there on the page that I've included that was just attached after page 9 is basically the working copy. So it gives you all the roll numbers with the Manitoba Hydro and what the assessments were, and all of those pertaining to Manitoba Housing and their assessments on how the breakdown is. Of course, it lists out the RCMP properties, conservation and natural resources, and of course, government services to list those out. Under part 2 for the conditional transfers and grants, the RM of Lac du Bonnet is providing $12,500 for the swimming instructors, another $38,029.20 for the arena. Province of Manitoba through our municipal funding is $103,371.51, and of course RCMP for $122,434.73 is part of that funding, which has already been allocated back on page 2 of the budget, which is the funding page. And as you move forward over to page 12 is our debenture page with regards to our 3 debentures. And it's basically just, provides the update on the opening and closing balances, what was paid for interest, as well as what was paid on principal. The amounts typically don't change. The only juggling point that changes is the amounts on an annual basis regarding in principal and interest as we get closer to the deadlines to pay them out. We've got 1 debenture that'll be due on 2028, and the other 2 will be 2035. Moving over to page 13. With regards to the ball diamond fencing, at the time when I was putting this particular section together, the only quote that I had from Jay at that point was for fencing for that 1 diamond that he was talking about from Wallace and Wallace for $6,000. And I had asked him to go and get more quotes. I said 1 isn't enough. So I gave him CB Fencing's phone number, as well as a couple other places to get in touch with. So obviously he's gotten some more quotes, which will be great. I haven't seen them yet. For the time being, between now and next meeting, hopefully I'll get them and I can make the changes on the capital page itself. The pad and drainage for the repairs of the fire department. This was basically our portion on fixed capital asset. The pad and the drainage has been a problem for many years, and we really do need to get this fixed. This is becoming absolutely ridiculous that it's been left to sit for this length of time. So I did in fact add it in because that's basically the big request that they've put in for this year. The town dock, as we had discussed earlier, because we're not doing this project this year, it'll be in the 2022 budget, but I will make the allocation change for just the first progress billing, and of course the portion that Brent had talked about, and put that in instead. The fire department had also submitted for hall floor painting, which was $2,000, and of course being a fixed asset, it's a 50-50 split between us. The office renovations I'd put in for $65,000, I am going to have to put in some additional funding for some new furniture, obviously for the new front counter. We're doing it modular, kind of a modular piece together. We've got a lady who's an interior designer that she's helping us select the pieces of what they've got, and she's trying to build it together for us. It's basically, we're not going top of the line or Cadillac model by any means, but we do need something modular that is wheelchair accessible and accessibility friendly for folks to come in. We actually had Alf and Ed doing some additional measurements today because the original design that we thought would work and would provide a lot of latitude for accessibility is going to be a problem. There just isn't enough space. So we're going to try and get the lady to come out and remeasure the space, hopefully early next week, and see if we can put a different idea plan together for it. So I will need some additional funds for that. I don't know what they're going to be at this point in time. And of course I need a new desk because this one is not going to fit in my new office space. The security cameras that Brent had provided the quotes for, I had listed what the vendor that council had selected with what is being, how it's being funded. The boat launch repairs, Brent had met with, is it Jen Hoffman?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. They had met and had looked at La Vérendrye boat launch. There is some earthworks that needs to be done in order to make it mobility friendly and accessible, better accessibility once we redo the docks and stuff down there, which are in horrible shape right now. So we're going to look after doing the docks, and the RM is going to take care of doing the earthworks. Price wise, they basically kind of work out the same, so it's kind of a wash. So we just decided that it would be bestest if we just split the project, and it'll work out well. The water intake line, this is based on just a quoted price that it's an estimate that we were given from Penner Underground, just so that we had some kind of idea as to what we were going to plug in for the budget itself. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit of time to do any of the engineering works as well as to put this out for tender. But this is kind of a best guesstimate of what we could be looking at for cost for this. The water line replacement, it's already gone out for tender. We basically had put in the amount that was awarded in to the budget itself. The arena structure repairs, this was the total amount that had gone through. It includes the additional work that was required once construction has started taking place, and I know that project's going to get going in the next short while. We're also looking at, we also had it on our 5-year plan to replace another one of our vehicles in our fleet. I'm sure you guys have seen a couple of our half tons driving around town with duct tape and cracks and rust and so on. They're not very attractive, functional but not attractive. So we're looking at replacing one of the half tons this year, so it'll be good for another 20 years. And of course, I've put in for an additional 10,000 for the third crosswalk that is going to go up here at 2nd Street. I put in 10,000 just for the crosswalk. I don't know what the curbing is going to be like because I don't have pricing on it. So if you have a suggestion as to what you'd like to see or how much we should be budgeting for that, I'm happy to put it in. I don't know what that kind of cost is.
I would suggest just as a rough guesstimate, probably in the 5 to 10 range.
Okay.
But Brent, depending on how we do it, if we're on the south side of the street, we can come right off the 2nd Street sidewalk and go right beside the curbing outside of it and not have to change any curbing. Just mark it off.
Yeah, I mean, accessibility wise, pedestrian friendly wise, it's that wouldn't be ideal. Like you'd want it kind of on your natural walking path.
Well, it is. If you look at that, it goes straight out there, and then you angle it slightly when you cross the street and you come onto the paved driveway going into the community center.
Oh, on the south side. Sorry, I was thinking north side. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know all three of those corners or four of those corners aren't like there's not really any.
It's funny ones, yeah.
Yeah, and there's no ramps, curb ramps going across Second Street even, like from the insurance side to the other side. Like the sidewalk in general there, I think that whole intersection needs some help.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Okay,
matter
so-
which one you use, you have to put a crosswalk across Second Street to get to the other side. Or put something cutouts and a crosswalk. Otherwise, they're just going to walk out in the street like they always did. So,
Okay,
And
so
then beginning-
ballpark,
sorry.
how
Right
much
to the
should I
ballpark.
add?
Oh, sorry.
I think 5 to 10 range. Like if you put 10, I think that should give us enough to accommodate whatever we need to do, regardless of how things kind of turn out.
Okay. So I'll add 10,000 to that.
So a total of 20 there now.
Okay. The next page after that was basically just my working page that I had included for your reference when I had sent this out electronically. It just basically lists all the projects that had been listed out, what the costs were, and where I was basically taking money from. This is obviously going to change because the dock is going to be changed, and of course there's a few other minor changes that are going through for that. So that'll all change, and I'll resend it to you electronically as well.
Couple of things I didn't see in there, Darcy. One is 82 Park.
Okay, I'll add 82 Park. Yeah,
Yeah, and then
that was for 115.
yeah,
Okay,
and then the back lane grinder, Brent. I didn't see that in there either for 5,000.
I actually we took care of that out of regular expenses last year. We didn't put it in as capital, so I was just going to leave that as just a regular expense.
Okay, yeah, just as long as it's covered, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, anybody else got questions, or were you finished, Darcy, or were you carrying
I
on?
just wanted to touch base on the last page. I just want to write myself a note here.
Okay,
Okay, so on the last page is basically our 5-year capital plan. Basically every secondary year we're throwing in 20,000 for equipment replacement, which we always do funding into the reserve for equipment replacement every year anyway. Road renewal, we've allocated 300,000 for 2022 and another 240 for 2044 and 2026. I think basically starting for this year and next year, we really need to come up with a solid plan of how we're going to go forward for next year for road replacement. Some of our roads are god awful, especially right here on 2nd Street in front of the office. It's so cracked and broken. It's uneven. It's hard to walk on. And of course, when you start getting the elements like lots of snow or you get lots of rain, it makes it even more treacherous for some of our folks that have mobility issues. I know there's a few other roads in town, like I know 5th is terrible. McIntosh has got issues. There's one big yip in the road down on Lake that if you hit that sucker going fast enough, you're going to get airborne. And I think you know which one I'm talking about. I drive a big truck and I got pretty good bounce out of it. I can imagine what it's like for the poor Baba in the little sports car.
Birch
There's not
Street's
gonna be a
really
muffler
small,
left.
but it's spider webs like the entire way through. Like it's just beat. Like someone could steal that entire street in their backpack over a week if they wanted to. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Every road, and McIntosh or MacArthur's getting bad now. It's breaking.
So
on the sides.
I think for this year, like for next year, we need to come up with a game plan that's solid for next year and get going on the roadworks because they are just bloody awful. And especially the entrance here to 2nd Street. It's basically the ka-chunk turn a corner. It's awful. It's just god awful. Okay, sidewalk replacement. We've basically got 20,000 earmarked for 2023 and then 2025. We've got it listed as a 55B MacArthur rental. It's basically just 5,000 a year, and then of course 2025 looking at building replacement for the curling rink, and that's another project that once we get through the dock and the arena and our roads, we need to come up with a solid plan for that as well, and how we're going to move forward. 2023 is for a 3/4 ton 4x4. I have to ask, do we really need a 3/4 ton? We've got a 1 ton, we've got a bunch of half tons. Do we really need a 3/4 ton?
Yep.
For the water truck, the sand spreader, even the blade on the front of the truck, you would want a 3/4 ton for those, and they're all getting,
Okay.
old. So
Okay, so the second question is 45 enough to put in for it for 2023, or should I be adding more? Because it seems to me a 3/4 ton, I'd be looking at about 65, not 45.
What
I
do
mean,
pay
unless
for
we
the
find,
one
if
ton?
we find something 2-3 years, even 5 years old, probably.
Okay. Sorry, Gordon?
Okay, we're seeing you talk, but we're not hearing you.
How much money do you want to put in for a 3/4 ton?
So say again, whatever you were saying. Yeah,
Well,
you're
it's-
gone again, sorry.
For a 3/4 ton, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
For a 3/4 ton, it just seems like $45,000 isn't enough. And I'm wondering if we should increase that to like 65. I don't want to be earmarked and be forced to take a 5-year-old piece of junk that's somebody else's problem. If we can find a good used one, hey, great, I'm all for it. But I don't want to inherit somebody else's problem.
You don't
So
want to buy
I'm
a Ford.
wondering, no, if you want no problems, you buy a Ford. This from a Dodge owner. Okay, so do you want me to leave it as 45,000 or increase it to 65?
what did we pay for the 1 ton, Darcy?
That was 50,000.
Yeah.
I would put it at 50.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
that's
change that.
not enough.
So what do you want it changed to, Ted?
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Ted had commented that wasn't enough. I said, so what do you want to change it to?
I would go to 60 on it.
Yeah.
So you got to do that in both years,
Okay.
23 and 25.
Okay. Garbage truck. We've got for replacement in 2023. And basically this just kind of carries forward year after year. I don't know if you want that amount changed, if it should be
He's
different.
fucking sleeping.
Any thoughts, Brent?
I know every year we push it back, we're going to have to increase our maintenance costs on that truck for sure, because it's starting to get,
Expensive.
it's not pretty. So as far as replacement cost, I don't know. I've started I'm tracking our volumes and weights, and I want to see what we can kind of get away with, if we can get away with a slightly smaller truck, but something that still can you pick up and accommodate the bins we've got in town with the system, the rear load system we've got on the bins. So I'm not 100% sure on what the cost is going to be on that. I'm going to start looking into that.
Okay.
Well, we've got another year before we need to be
Yeah.
serious about what goes in there. Yeah.
Brent, if you're gonna look for a little smaller one, you're not talking smaller than what we have, are you?
I don't know. I want to see like volume wise and capacity, you know, what we need and what we can get away with. And because I mean, even if we could get a smaller packer or slightly smaller packer, we still need something that can handle the rear load bins that we've got. So that might
Okay.
drive some of that too.
Are the rear load bins heavy enough to warrant a set of duals on the back?
I'm not sure. I'm going to have some conversations, I think, with some of the truck suppliers and manufacturers as far as what we realistically need and what we can get away with.
Well, I think we want to stay away from a tandem if we can because of the whole training cycle and additional licensing and all of that. Because that becomes a pain for hiring people as well.
Yeah.
But I've often wondered about the back loading. Those dumpsters can be pretty heavy,
Yeah.
and how much wear and tear or damage they can do on it.
Well, that's primarily the weight when that is on the back is when they're stopped. As
Yeah,
opposed to,
it's not carrying the dumpsters. It's just, you know, dumping them and dropping them back down. So
Yeah.
okay.
The compactors are by design are heavy on the back end until you load the then it balances out a little bit, but there's a lot of weight back there hanging over the end.
Greg, do you remember when we bought that truck? Did we not get somebody else's packer in a swap or something at that time?
That chassis we got now, yeah, we've had that for quite a few years.
Yeah,
And this our old packer, well, the bottom of it was rusting out.
Yeah,
And it was starting to
and-
let garbage and fluid and everything out all on the street and the ground. But this packer here came from Victoria Beach. It was an
That's right.
insurance. It had, the truck burnt.
yeah, that's right.
And what happened was of course insurance replaced the whole truck.
Right.
And the place we bought it from, I just forget what the name of it is now. But anyway, they wound up with the truck and they or what was left of the truck, and they pulled that packer off of there. They had to put a couple of hydraulic hoses on there, give it a paint job on the front of it.
Yeah,
But it was a brand new packer
yeah.
or compactor. It was brand new except for this fire issue. So we actually got not a bad deal on it. But
Yeah, no, there was a
now-
saving
now-
on the packer.
yeah.
Okay.
But we didn't buy a chassis with it.
Yeah, we need to
Yeah,
keep
no.
going, guys, or we're running out of time. Anything else, Darcy, or you want to just make that all revised and send it out and?
I'll make it revised and sent out. Basically the only other thing that I had added was for 2022, I added a wood chipper for 20,000. We get a fair number of trees and stuff, and it'd be nice to kind of have our own chipper. Apparently we used to have one and somebody went and sold it for whatever reason. I think it would be a good implement to have on hand. So other than that, I'm done.
Okay. Do we need a first reading tonight, or I know it's not, I don't see it here, but. we're good
I
with
just
next
wanted this
time?
to be I'll do it for next time.
Okay,
We'll do the first and second one next time, because I still have to call the public hearing, which will be for the third reading.
okay. All right.
Have we got time to go another month?
Well, we're not going another month. We're just 2 weeks, Ted. 'Cause we're
Oh, okay,
2-week cycle now.
all righty.
Okay, so next item is the agreement with Comstream. And you've seen the document, really, and you saw it before this, but the rates weren't in there, the revised rates weren't in there. And we're just really looking for your feedback on those rates. It's now $100 a month or $1,200 for the year for that lease of that 1,600 square foot property. Now, I guess there's several considerations. Back 20 years ago, it was $25 for the year. And that's hardly worth writing up a piece of paper for. Then the other part is that they haven't paid this for a number of years, any kind of rate, since Comstream actually took over, and they haven't paid the tax portion either. So we're just wanting to get them on stream for both of those items. And if you're satisfied with the lease document, then we'll go ahead with that. Any issues there?
Have
No, I'm
we,
happy with it.
have we checked with any of the other outfits that are leasing land or anything, what they pay?
I know I haven't. Darcy, do you know if Connie did?
I'm sure she probably has. I just don't know who they are.
Right, okay. Well, Comstream has been given a heads up on this, and
Yep.
So that they're aware that this is coming back into place. So if someone would be prepared to make a motion that we go ahead with this lease agreement with Comstream, effective the beginning of 2021. Keegan, did I see your hand?
I'll move it. Yeah.
Thank you. Seconder?
I'll second.
Greg, thank you.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor then, please indicate.
Aye.
Right.
That is
Aye.
carried. Thank you.
While we're talking about Comstream, I brought up about Comstream internet and, MTS internet. We are paying 2 bills a month.
Well,
And-
it's, okay, sorry, I thought you were finished it.
And Comstream is a big bill
Mm-hmm.
compared to what we thought we were going to get.
I guess my recommendation on the short term would be is that we eliminate MTS and go with Comstream completely. And I think I'm not sure about what you guys are working off of tonight, but I know it hasn't been good. So I'm guessing it's the slower one. And then as we get farther on in the year, I'm going to suggest that we go with Starlink's, that's fully satellite. And by the beginning of next year, we have very good speeds of 50 to 150 megs, and our area is getting coverage now. So that's what I would suggest we do. And
Yeah,
when
I think I'd be eager to try a third person. Like, I'm here because Comstream isn't working, and we're here in MTS, which doesn't work. So I like, yeah, let the market try for a third time.
Yeah. Yeah. and-
MTS was bad all day. Even the cell phone on an MTS was bad today.
Really?
Uh, Yeah. I was trying to talk to my parents and wasn't working well at all.
Okay. So we're not an anomaly tonight, then, is what you're saying?
No.
That's too bad. Okay. Did we approve that, Darcy? I've forgotten.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. All righty. Just jump past 9.1 until later. And then 9.2 is PTSD Awareness Month resolution. You've seen it there. It's just a recognition of setting June aside as a month of awareness for that. Is there a mover for this?
I'll move it.
Keegan and Ted?
Yeah,
second?
yeah. Oh.
Yeah. And any discussion? All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
I
That is carried. Thank you. So the 9.3 is the Lac du Bonnet water supply line upgrade. And that's the document that we got from, where did I put it? WSP regarding the water line replacement. Do we need a, I don't think we need a resolution on this right now, do we? Right.
And this is just strictly the intake line. This doesn't include the tie-ins to the pump house or the tie-ins at the water plant. They and we had, my discussions with Mike was that if we get something like this together, then they can start working on this and doing the engineering and drafting and whatever else they need to do on this. And then next week, Bill Brandt is coming out to look at the plant and the tie-ins on that, and then they'll put together another addition to this proposal for the tie-in work.
Okay.
Question on this. We're using WSP on that, Brent?
Yeah, I mean, I thought Jeff and I had discussed it, and since they're they've done the water main renewals the last couple of times, it kind of made sense. I thought, they're familiar with town, they're familiar with some of our infrastructure.
No, I understand they're familiar with it, but that's going to be a fair size bill. Would we not give it out to the engineering fraternity and see who comes back with a price on it? Because they're going to give us what would you call it, a basic price, and then everything else is extra.
We could, but I don't know that it would change drastically between. I mean, anybody else coming in is going to be a little bit less familiar, and there might be more of a learning curve and more work involved on that end for them to even figure it out. Like they would have done some of the survey work possibly with some of their past work, so that could save us a little bit there.
I guess the way I was looking at it was, this is a bit of an add-on to our summer project, even though it wasn't originally a part of that. So, and we had selected WSP for the major part of the project. So that was the way I was looking at it. I was hoping that we would have all of the costs proposed for this. I'm not quite sure, is there any particular value in us approving this portion of it now? Because when they're going to tender it, they're going to tender the whole thing, right?
Yeah. Sure. This would get them started, because they won't do any work. And I know the consulting end, their finance people are pretty adamant that they not start doing anything and bill any time towards anything without having an actual agreement in place. So this would get them started working on the bulk of the line until they have time to come out. And I mean, given that Bill Brandt, I think, is coming out on Tuesday, I don't know how long it will take them to get something together then to do the full proposal and with the tie-ins and everything.
I guess where I'm at is I just hate to approve part of it, and then if we don't like the rest of it, then we're kind of stuck because we've already approved part of it.
Yeah. I mean, we can definitely hold off. I mean, at this point, it's probably realistically going to be another week, maybe two. So I mean, we've waited this long. It's
what you think, everybody? Should we wait or should we just approve this?
Well,
think
I'm
it-
of this. Go ahead, Greg.
I think we should make sure we got the whole game in play first, because once you do part of it, and then you become beholden
Yeah.
to the rest of it, possibly. And I think we can wait. With a little luck here, we know where our other the problem is in our other lines, so we can maybe fix that up and then proceed with this.
Okay,
I agree with you, Gordon, and like with you, Greg, because if we go for part of it, we've committed ourselves to the whole project.
yeah, without
And
knowing the price. Yeah.
that's right.
Okay, let's, somebody else?
No,
We're good.
no,
Okay.
carry on.
Alrighty, so let's just defer that to the next meeting or till we get the information from them. Accounts for approval. Whereas accounts for the period ending April 9th have been reviewed by council, therefore be it resolved following payments be hereby approved. Can I defer reading all of this stuff? And anybody disagree with that?
Sounds
You've
fine.
had a
Gordon.
chance to let me know.
You're fine, Gordon. Just cut to the chase there. And
Okay, so is someone prepared to move this?
I'll move it. Greg will move
I'll
it.
Greg and
second.
Keegan. Okay, and is there any questions? Hearing none, are we all in favor, please?
Aye.
Winnipeg River Recreation is asking for the town's permission to use Memorial Park for the Timbick soccer practice. I guess, and tell me if you think I'm wrong on this, but I think that's a request of that for one of our departments using a town facility. Anybody disagree with that?
No, and internal stuff like this, I don't think it, unless it's like shutting down streets or something, I don't see why it needs to
Yeah.
come before us.
Yeah, I'm entirely happy, Darcy, with you just making those decisions as you see fit day by day.
Okay.
And the purchase of 82 Park, we explained what we were going to present to Mr. Roy. And I talked with them, they have agreed with it fully. And so be it resolved that the town of Lac du Bonnet authorized the purchase of 82 Park Avenue from the Roy family as per purchase documents agreed on by both parties. And those documents haven't been finalized yet, but they will be based on the discussion. And we can't formalize this until the other sale is complete, which is on the 15th. So we're just kind of in a crunch between two things going on, but we needed this approval so that we can get our lawyers to work on this. So
I'll move it.
Brian moves, seconder.
I'll second.
Egan, thank you. Any discussion?
When we were talking at the meeting with that, Gordon, now
Yeah,
Roy family is still going through with the purchase of the land from
that's
the
correct.
present owner.
Yes,
That's
that's closing on the
now the
15th.
present, pardon me?
It's closing on the 15th.
Yeah, so the present owner is okay with his deal with the Roys then?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yep.
Yeah,
He was,
okay. All righty.
any other questions, comments? All in favor, then please indicate.
Aye.
I,
That is carried. Thank you. That one's taken a long time to get there, but
Gotta round up more grass to cut, Gordon, that's all.
Brent's still smiling though, so we're okay.
I noticed the current owner was out there the other day, I think, with a couple of vehicles and 3 or 4 people doing some cleanup, and not sure what they were doing.
Yeah, yeah, I saw somebody was there.
Yeah.
Anything else before we go in camera? Okay, be it resolved, the council does hereby adjourn the regular order of business to sit as a committee of the whole in camera, and all discussion shall be kept in confidence. Mover,
Aye.
Ted,
Aye.
seconder Greg, all in favor, please indicate.
Hey,
Aye.
That is carried. Here's my list.
Turn the recording off.
Thank you. You're saving me a lot of hassle, Brian. Thank you. I think we're there. Be it resolved, the council does now return to the regular order of business. Is there a mover?
Greg,
Ian and Brian, and all in favor?
Aye.
hey,
That's carried. Okay, we'll go back up to, I think it was 9-1. And the Public Works Manager contract renewal. It's bylaw 1620 with schedules A, job description, and schedule B, employment agreement, describes the original agreement with Public Works Manager Brent Collette. Whereas schedule B has been updated to take effect March 30th, 2021. Therefore be it resolved that schedule B updated April 8th, 2021 and effective March 30th, 2021 form part of the revised agreement with Public Works Manager Brett Collette. And further be it resolved that the increase will be in 2 installments, with the first taking place March 30th, 2021, and the second taking effect following successful completion of the Municipal Management and Leadership Program. Is there a mover?
I'll move.
Greg,
Greg moves it. Seconder, I saw Brian.
It was Keegan. Keegan was the other one.
Okay. And any further discussion on that? That's as we've discussed earlier. All right, all in favor then, please indicate.
Aye.
Aye.
That is carried. And the final call for any other business. Be it resolved that this meeting does now adjourn at 9:15. The next regular council meeting is scheduled for April 22nd, 2021. Mover, please.
I move it.
Second.
Keegan? And all in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
aye.
That is carried. Thank you so much, everybody, and hopefully next time we'll have better reception on this internet thing. Does make it easier when it works well. So thank you for your patience, and we're trying to help make this all work. And I hope you have a good rest of the evening, whatever's left of it.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Yeah.
Ted, take care of your finger there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Thanks.
All right.
Hey.